Morning. It's Wednesday, February 21st. And there are many things in this country that need fixing. And one of those things happens to be the conditions that the Supreme Court operates under. The Supreme Court is one of the most important bodies in this country. And yet they have no formal code of ethics that they must adhere to in order to run their business properly. And this has come up several times recently because of the actions of members of the Supreme Court or actions of very close family members. And I guess the family that I'm talking about is Clarence Thomas and his wife. Now, she ran like crazy on J6, working very hard for President Trump's overturn of the election. She called people. She was out there visibly doing that. And yet, when these people and their court cases appear before the Supreme Court, Clarence Thomas sits on the court proudly and is a member of the court making decisions when he should have recused himself based upon his wife's activity. And Clarence Thomas himself has a piss-poor code of ethics because he hangs with millionaires and gets expensive gifts from them. And he continues to do that. And he doesn't report everything that he's supposed to report on his financial whatever the court puts together every single year. And the court claims they're working on a code of ethics, but they haven't got very far as I know. So that situation is bad enough. But when it becomes a worldwide situation, when we have a British comedian mocking a member of the Supreme Court, that just shows you how important the Supreme Court is and how well known they really are around the world. So we have a situation that Clarence Thomas has been made an offer by the British comedian John Oliver. Now, before I tell you what that offer was, I want to remind you about a couple of things. There were many Democrats that think that Clarence Thomas should have recused himself from the Colorado ballot case at the Supreme Court because of his wife's political advocacy. Now, Ginny Thomas, that's his wife, has argued repeatedly that the 2020 election was stolen. She sent 29 texts to the former White House Chief of Staff, Mark Meadows, claiming that they should not concede. She attended Trump's Stop the Steal on January 6, 2021, but said she didn't march to the Capitol. Maybe she was too tired to march to the Capitol. But when you look at his wife's activities over the years, there are probably many times when he should have recused himself, but he didn't. So we can't expect him to change colors now, so to speak. So getting back to the offer that John Oliver made. So if you don't know who John Oliver is, he's a British comedian. And last week, he mocked Clarence Thomas on his show, his Sunday night show, offering him $1 million a year and a vehicle if he resigns from his post. His post being his seat on the Supreme Court. And Oliver also criticized Thomas's vote in 2022 to overturn Roe versus Wade. That was the landmark decision that previously guaranteed the right to an abortion. The comedian also referenced that the court is set to consider whether President Donald Trump should be barred from the state's primary elections. And he was looking at what was going to happen in Colorado before it actually happened, you see. Now, John Oliver tried to be a nice guy. He explained to Clarence Thomas that you have a lot on your plate now. From stripping away women's rights to hearing January 6 cases, you deserve a break, you know. A break from the meanness of Washington. A break from the tension that goes in your body when you have to make these horrible decisions. So you can be surrounded by regular folks if you take a break from the court. And you can see how the other half lives. You can avoid hanging out with those millionaire friends of yours and dining on their boats and in their expensive properties. He said, you need to do that. You need to focus on the good in the world. So I'm giving you $1 million in a car. What more could you want? And then you can take it easy with Ginny and go to all of these extreme right-wing events without any conscience at all. Now, obviously, Oliver didn't say all these things in those words. A lot of that is what I'm saying. But Thomas is getting on in age, and he could have another decade or so of a comfortable life without having to sit on the bench in the Supreme Court. And then the comedian, Oliver, added that all Thomas has to do in order to receive the $1 million per year and a brand new condo on wheels is sign a contract saying he would resign from the Supreme Court. Now that's kind of open-ended, because you could sign a contract and say, I'll leave in a year, I'll leave in 2 years, I'll leave in 5 years. Will that get him the condo, the car condo, and $1 million a year? I doubt it. I doubt it. So John Oliver, a British comedian, has come up with a great idea. Is there anybody in the United States that would follow up on this idea? Do you think that this suggestion would be promoted, seriously promoted by many in power to get rid of Clarence Thomas? I don't think so. The Supreme Court is a unique place, and it has to be protected, well protected, beyond the craziness that I'm talking about right now. But on the other hand, they're ignoring the fact that they really desperately need a code of ethics. They cannot keep on doing the things they're doing and collecting without having some rule of law to govern their behavior. So I think that the fact that John Oliver pointed his finger at Clarence Thomas is good for the court. Wake them up and let them get themselves a code of ethics that the country will agree with and say, hey, these guys are ready to do the job the right way. So I leave you with that this morning. Have a great day. Bye.